The Fed had planned on layoffs. The Fed had planned for this all along. Nobody wants this, but this is one of the ways that they counter inflation. All right, our top story of the day is the U.S. job growth unexpectedly jumps in January as the economy adds 353,000 new jobs. But is that a reality, right? Is that the truth? Because we also have a story saying that layoffs surged 136% in January to the second highest level on record. So let's go through both of these and try and break it down, right? Let's go through the layoffs first. The pace of job cuts by U.S. employers accelerated at the start of 2024, a sign that the labor market is starting to deteriorate in the face of ongoing inflation and high interest rates. That's according to a new report published by this company, which found that companies planned 82,000 job cuts in January, a substantial 136% increase from the previous month. And that's down about 20% from the same time a year ago. So 136 more than the month before. And that's even down from from 1 year ago. That's the second highest layoff total for the month of January since they started keeping track of this in 2009. Waves of layoff announcements hit US-based companies in January after a quiet fourth quarter. The cuts were driven by broader economic trends and a strategic shift towards increased automation and AI adoption in various sectors. Though in most cases, companies point to cost cutting as the main driver for layoffs, which makes sense, right? As things are costing more, as interest rates are going higher, Jerome Powell specifically said, hey, there will be pain in the economy. We are going to have some issues out there. And now you're seeing companies do exactly what the Fed had intended. The Fed had planned on higher unemployment. The Fed had planned on layoffs. The Fed had planned for this all along. Nobody wants this, but this is one of the ways that they counter inflation. But on the flip side of this, the U.S. job growth unexpectedly jumps in January as the economy adds 353,000 new positions. Now, if you've been following along, and I hope you have, and I hope you have subscribed down below because we cover the top stories all the time what the AI trading data has to say about it. If you've been following along, I cover this pretty much every month because nearly every single month, the Biden Economic Council, or whatever you want to call it, will release numbers saying, the U.S. economy added 53 million jobs. The U.S. economy added 17,100 jobs, just whatever their number is. Then they quietly revise the month or 2 months prior down by nearly exactly that much. So it's almost a 1-for-1 net zero of how many jobs are actually being added each month. And so when I saw this and it says layoffs surged 136% in January to second highest level on record, followed by U.S. job growth unexpectedly jumps in January and adds 353,000 new positions, I've got to think something's not telling the truth here. And I'm in line to believe that it's the government lying to you. I have to believe that in the beginning of the election year, they don't want people to actually know that this is the second highest level on record for layoffs in January. They want people to think that the economy's doing great because it's the economy, stupid, right? Going back to whatever president that was before my time, right? Looking at this, seeing, hey, if people think that the economy is bad under Bidenomics, we're definitely not going to get a second term if we're going to push Bidenomics. That's what they're thinking right now. That's why they've been lying to us for the whole last year. And when you see a story like this, layoffs surged 136% in January, U.S. job growth unexpectedly jumps in January, there's a disconnect here that I don't believe. I don't believe it at all. Employers added 353,000 jobs in January, easily topping the 180,000 forecast. And U.S. employment rate held steady at 3.7%. My mind goes to maybe these people who got laid off had to take 2 and 3 jobs just to make up 2 and 3 part-time jobs just to make up for what they lost in their layoffs. And the Biden Economic Council, whatever they call themselves, want to tout how they have gained more jobs under President Biden than any other president ever, whatever the case is, whatever lie they spew. But most of these are jobs that are being clawed back because of COVID. And you can see here the chart going down and down and down over time. This is not a strong growing economy. This was a retracement. It was a overcorrection that was being fixed during 2021. But you can look at 2022 and 2023. It's almost a linear straight down slope. And then January 2024, somehow things are starting to pick back up. Yet we have record high layoffs. I can't say that that seems too truthful to me, right? Despite the strong report, that paints a picture of the job market's gone largely unscathed since the Federal Reserve's aggressive rate cuts. It's so interesting. These two articles are in complete opposite of each other, right? The top reason for job cuts was companies blame stores closing on artificial intelligence. The labor market is stronger than previously appeared, right? I just can't believe either of these two articles. But I'll tell you, between the two, I definitely believe the fact that we have way more layoffs going on. And this job growth, more than likely, is driven by those people getting layoffs having to get 2 and 3 jobs to make up for it. So I want to jump over to Outlier real quick and take a look at ADP. Whenever I talk about jobs, I always look at ADP because that is the payroll processor. And we actually got a buy signal back on January 25th. And if you look, actually, these signal returns are really strong at 80.22%. So if you want to get your hands on these incredible signal returns, head over to outlierdeal.com. That's OVTLYR deal.com to get your hands on these for one low price for a lifetime license. And be sure to check out one of these two videos. YouTube thinks you're going to love them and continue to watch more. Thank you so much for tuning into today's Outlier Live. We'll see you on the next episode.